Hey, Jake with B&H. Today I'm in Central Park playing with a brand new macro lens from Canon. This is the Canon RF 100mm f2.8L macro IS USM. It has a pretty cool feature that we're going to talk about a little later. I also have two new super telephotos with the RF mount. We have the 400mm f2.8 and the 600mm f4. And spring's in the air. We're in Central Park. Let's go play. All right, now I got the RF 600mm L f4 IS USM on the R5. This guy is a beast. Basically all the same bells and whistles you would find on the EF counterpart. Basically now has the RF mount here on the end. Not bad. Weight is not bad. And now we're on a mission to find that osprey. So let's keep going. All right, now I got the 400mm f2.8L IS USM. This thing is a beast, and we're trying to find some birds here in the Central Park Pond. All right, back in the studio now to dig deeper into the details of these exciting new lenses. Let's start with the completely redesigned RF 100mm f2.8L macro IS USM. This new lens features the world's first maximum shooting magnification of 1.4 times, with a minimum focusing distance of 0.26 meters, that's 10 inches. This high magnification is made possible because of the short back focus of the RF mount. This lens will give you a 1-to-1 representation and maintains fast and precise autofocus. This really came in handy today in Central Park because the flowers were in bloom. Now, if the 1.4 times magnification wasn't enough, there is a brand new feature built into this lens called Spherical Aberration Ring that will actually let you change the characteristic of your bokeh. How is that possible? Let me explain. Thanks to the two nano USM motors, Canon has made it possible to drive the focus lens group and the floating lens group independently of one another, therefore providing the user with creative control over their bokeh. This innovation is realized through the SA control on the lens barrel itself. There is a fixed 0 position in the middle that can be locked if you choose. There is a plus symbol on one side and a minus symbol on the other side, allowing you to fine-tune the characteristics of the bokeh to your liking. The characteristic of the plus is commonly referred to as a bubble-like bokeh with sharp and distinct circles, while the minus symbol has a much softer, less distinct, almost dreamlike quality, which I imagine is perfect for those macro wedding photography shots. This is what we call 0. I'm going to change the SA control to negative. That's full negative. And then I'm going to go back to neutral. 0 right there. Now I'm going to go to plus. You can really see the circles in the background sharpen, almost kind of look like bubbles. That's the effect you have here. And you do have variation in terms of the amount of the effect you want. So there is 3 positions in between 0 and plus, and there's 3 separate positions between 0 and negative. So if this is too much for you, you can dial it back like that, go all the way to that, and then you go back to 0. And if these bubbles of bokeh are too sharp for you, you can soften them up a tad, like so. Side note, it wasn't the easiest shot to master. We'll take some practice because you do have to refocus your subject every time you adjust the floating elements, but the results will be worth it. I can promise you. It was really gratifying to see in real time the bokeh change going from soft to hard and sharp. It's really magical when you look through the viewfinder and you see the characteristics change in real time. It was quite stunning. This new feature will most certainly give you new ways to capture and create beautiful looking images. The lens itself offers 5 stops of image stabilization. However, if you pair it up with the Canon R5 or the Canon R6, like we did, you will get a coordinated control of up to 8 stops of image stabilization. This was crucial when I was photographing budding flowers all over Central Park handheld. Yes, you heard me correctly moments ago. This does have 2 nano USM motors for an improved AF performance. I can attest it is very fast and accurate and very snappy. I was on the ground shooting video of a flower and I was using Touch AF, racking between the foreground and the background, and it was buttery smooth. Speaking of video, focus breathing is very suppressed. I put the lens in manual mode and performed the same focus pull. It was smooth and natural. So if you need macro video of that wedding ring or a flower in full bloom, this is something you're going to want to pick up. It has a 9-blade circular aperture, a 67mm filter thread, and it measures 81.5mm maximum diameter by 148mm long, and it weighs approximately 730 grams. Pretty lightweight. Next up, we have 2 super telephoto lenses. These are beasts. I have the Canon RF 400mm f2.8L IS USM and the Canon RF 600mm f4L IS USM. These are built to be used with Canon's R mirrorless camera ecosystem, particularly with cameras like the R5, the R6, and the RP. Designed for professionals who shoot sports and wildlife, each Super Tele boasts a host of features that were essentially carried over from their EF counterparts. Each lens features Super UD and fluorite elements to greatly reduce color fringing and chromatic aberrations in order to achieve greater clarity and color accuracy. Super spectra and air sphere coating have been applied to individual elements of both lenses to help control lens flare and ghosting for better contrast and color fidelity when working in, harsh lighting conditions. Each lens provides you with crucial and mission-critical optical image stabilization up to 5.5 stops, which is a slight improvement over the EF versions that were only 5 stops of OIS. This level of stabilization will enable you to shoot in low lighting conditions with slower shutter speeds. On the lens barrel, you can actually select the type of stabilization that you want. There's standard stabilization single shot mode, a panning optimized stabilization mode, and a mode that only activates the IS when you press the shutter. Each super telephoto lens uses Canon's strongest ring-type USM motor, along with optimized focusing algorithms and a high-speed CPU that will deliver fast, precise, and quiet autofocus performance. The autofocus was absolutely critical today, trying to capture fast-moving targets that we found in the park. Birds like to move quickly, if you didn't know, and both of these new RF lenses were able to keep up. But sadly, we were unable to find the Osprey. Both have a 9-blade circular aperture for very pleasing out-of-focus qualities and are members of the esteemed L series, which means they are sealed against dust and moisture. And they also feature a fluorine coating on the front and rear elements to protect against smudges. The tripod collar does rotate, but only the tripod collar foot can come off if you wanted to use a smaller foot for monopod use. Each lens is compatible with the optional RF teleconverters, both the 1.4 times and the 2 times. The 600mm measures 18.6 inches long and 6.6 inches wide and weighs around 6.8 pounds. The 400mm measures 14.4 inches long and 6.4 inches wide and weighs around 6.3 pounds. Well, that's it for this first look at the new Canon RF lenses. We have a newly designed 100mm macro that offers stunning image quality on top of an innovative new spherical aberration ring feature that lets you have way more creative control in camera over your bokeh's characteristics. We got 2 mission-critical super telephoto lenses that will mount directly to the RF mount of your Canon R mirrorless camera system. Each one is perfect for professional wildlife or sports photography or anything where you're tracking fast-moving subjects that are far away. But what do you think? Do you want to try out this new spherical aberration ring? What kind of shots do you want to make with this new feature? Are you shooting sports or wildlife? What do you want to shoot with these new beasts of lenses? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Jake with B&H. Just keep rolling.